that God speaks about reward to the believers, reward for the believers, and it is very important, and it's a good news, and it's also something that we should be aware of, that God rewards the believers, and the reward is not just here, but the greater reward is in the hereafter. So as believers we should seek, we should seek, and in traditional Islamic circles they say sawab, you get more sawab, you get more reward from God. However, the understanding of reward is not Quranic. That is the main thing, and because we all come from that background, or most of us, we still have that understanding that the reward is something that you do and you get rewarded for it. It's like an exchange, right? And because of that, a lot of misunderstanding is there about getting reward from God. What is getting reward from God? See, when you ask about reward from any person, like when you, there are credit card companies that will offer you reward points or this points. So which means you do something, you use their product a lot and they give you some additional points which you can use for something else. So those are reward points, reward programs and these things. So basically what is that? Whatever you give or what you do for some particular act, that is using a product or using a card or whatever it may be, they give you points. And we know it is there in all marketing campaigns, whatever you buy, whatever you sell. Nowadays anything and everything has a reward point. You see? So some people just give you a reward point just to go inside their shop. You just enter, you will get a reward point. So that is the thing that we see here. And because of this, because of continuous hammering into our brain that you do something, we will reward you, you do something, we will reward you. Our understanding of divine reward from God is also very similar to that. I have to do certain things so I can get something back. And whenever God speaks about reward, it is about me doing something for God, and then God will return me something, maybe a little more, maybe multiple times more. So it's like people have this understanding that, okay, for me to get the reward from God, I have to do some certain works. Even though I don't like it, I have to do it so I can get more reward. This is the kind of understanding that most people have. Just say La ilaha illallah 100 times. So you will get 110 times reward. So this is the understanding that most people have. Do more Quran recitation. Just recite from morning until evening, and there is a reward. And they will say, there's no need to even understand the Quran. Just recite it. Automatically you have a reward. So what does that tell you? That tell you that their understanding of reward is that you do some work, certain activities, and then you're automatically rewarded by it. They don't emphasize understanding what you're reading. They don't emphasize the hikmah, the wisdom behind doing certain acts. What are the mind, the thoughts that you have to put within an act. Nothing is emphasized. It's just the act that is emphasized. Do 10 rakas of prayer, you get rewarded. Do like this many number of fasts, you get rewarded. So this is the kind of understanding that most people have about reward, and this is what most of us have been taught since childhood also. This is what we do. Do something and you get something back. However, in the Quran, it's a completely different concept. Reward is not given just because you do certain things. Reward is given based on what and how you think and how you act, and based on your iman, your belief. If there's no belief, fundamentally you can do 1,000,000 times salah, it doesn't make any difference. So there's no reward for that. You can give charity millions of dirhams to anyone, still you may not get rewarded. So there is some critical element that is missing, which actually determines whether your righteous act is accepted by God or rejected. Unfortunate to say, many people who go to the Hajj, we know, do not get rewarded for it. And it is a very sad thing, because how much money, effort, emotion and everything is there. If they deliberately, they may get accepted if they are doing it out of ignorance. God may forgive, we don't know. But if we know a lot of them are nullifying their works because they commit shirk. They worship other entities and they venerate other things and people and stones and whatnot, and they nullify the Hajj. The whole purpose of Hajj is nullified. Even in the chant of the Hajj is Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik la sharika laka Labbaik, which means we don't create partners and we are at your service, right? So it is such a statement of monotheism. It's a very strong statement of monotheism, but they nullify it by creating partners while saying the same thing. You see, so, and yet they think they are rewarded for it because it's a great amal, it's a great deed. You just nullified it by venerating the tomb of the Prophet, by venerating a stone which has no significance in the Quran at least. You've nullified it. So it's a waste of time that has happened, unfortunately. And by God's grace, when God gives us the guidance that we have to focus on God alone, just imagine a person who is a true monotheist goes for Hajj or Umrah or whatever it may be, with only God in his or her mind. That person is rewarded manifold. That person is the one who gets rewarded. So yet they do very similar act, right? They're doing the very similar act. They're also wearing ihram. They're also making tawaf. They're also throwing the stone. But most of them will get zero because they have committed shirk. Because the whole purpose of the Hajj is defeated when someone violates Tawheed or violates monotheism and creates partners with God. So this is why in the Quran, Surah 2 verse 103, God says, if they believe and lead a righteous life, the reward from God is far better if they only knew. So belief is emphasized at the beginning. If they believe and lead a righteous life. It's not if they lead a righteous life. Believe and lead a righteous life. So your belief has to be fundamentally correct. Without doing that, no matter what righteous deed you do, makes no difference. And this applies to us also. I can be giving charity 100 times, but if I don't understand the purpose of the charity, if I am not compassionate to the people I am giving charity, it won't help me at all. You see, we are giving zakah. What is zakah? What is zakah? We are giving the haqq or the right of another person to that rightful person. We believe that is not my money. If you still feel that no, it is my money, but I have to give it, you're a dead duck. Basically, your reward is zero. So your belief has to be fundamentally correct. That is understanding what zakah is. Zakah is you are withholding the haqq, the right of another person, which God says it's not your money. So you have to be in a haste to get rid of it, because you're holding on to someone else's money without their permission. They didn't tell you can keep it. So God gave you the money as your responsibility to get rid of it immediately. That's why it's called purification. The word zakah itself means purification. Something is with you and it's making it impure. Your money is becoming impure, or your wealth is being impure by keeping something that should not be there. So, and there is a way we should do it. On the day of harvest, we immediately let it out. And that we should understand it's because it's a right. We are not doing anyone a favor. We are not doing anyone a favor. We are giving the right of some people who deserve to be given that money. So this correct understanding is very important. If we don't have that correct understanding and we are just doing something mechanically, it has no reward. And you are on top of it nullifying your righteous acts. So in the Quran, God says any good they do will not go unrewarded. God is fully aware of the righteous. So God assures us, this is in Surah 3 verse 115. God says that any good you do, God will certainly reward us. It will not go unrewarded. And God says also in Surah 3 verse 148, consequently God granted them the rewards of this world and better rewards of the hereafter. God loves the good doers. So many verses in the Quran speaks about righteousness, speaks about doing good, speaks about reward in this world and in the much better reward in the hereafter. But all these verses are talking about people who have the correct understanding and they abide by God's law and do all the righteous deeds according to how God has prescribed in the Quran. Not mechanically, not because without any understanding, not like it's like you're copying or monkeying someone. You're just aping someone, and that's why God says in the Quran, speaks about certain people, they're like apes and donkeys. Why? Because they just carry a lot of books on their backs without understanding what is there in the books, and also because they don't understand what they're doing and they're simply copying someone what they're doing. So of course such people will not get any reward from God, although they may be doing the act, because they have no understanding of why they're doing it. In Surah 3 verse 195, God says, their Lord responded to them, I never fail to reward any worker among you for any work you do, be you male or female. You are equal to one another. Thus those who immigrate and get evicted from their homes and are persecuted because of me and fight and get killed, I will surely remit their sins and admit them into gardens with flowing streams. Such is the reward from God. God possesses the ultimate reward. So here God gives us an example. God says that He will never fail to reward any worker, be it male or female. Regardless of your gender, God rewards you. So any person, whether it be male, female, old, young, God will always reward people for their righteous deeds. And God says, those who immigrate and get evicted from their homes and are persecuted because of me and fight and get killed, I will surely remit their sins and admit them into gardens with flowing streams. So as you can see, these are people who are not merely doing anything, but they're actually striving in the cause of God. They are facing persecution, they are getting evicted from their homes because of their belief in God. So it is again the belief and their faith in God that is causing them to do these things, and because of that God rewards them with flowing streams. Such is the reward from God. God possesses the ultimate reward. Inshallah, we'll continue the next khutbah. Alhamdulillah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. Praise be to God. I bear witness that there is no God but God, and He has no partners. So as you can see in these verses, God says that there is no discrimination against male or female, any person. As long as you are doing a righteous deed and you're doing it with faith and conviction, God will definitely reward you. And in Surah 4 verse 40, God says, God does not inflict an atom's weight of injustice. On the contrary, He multiplies the reward manifold for the righteous work and grants from Him a great recompense. So God is also telling us that He will not inflict an atom's weight of injustice. Whatever righteous deed you do, you will be given the most just reward for it. And God says that not just a just reward, but He will multiply it manifold. He multiplies the reward manifold for the righteous work and grants from Him a great recompense. And in Surah 6, 160, God says, whoever does righteous work receives the reward for 10. And the one who commits a sin is requited for only 1. No one suffers the slightest injustice. So see, this is a great verse, because it reassures us that if you do 1, you are rewarded with 10 times more. And the one who commits a sin is required for only 1. So whatever you do against your soul, only that will be taken against your soul. But whatever you do for your soul, for the benefit of your soul, whatever righteous deed you do, God multiplies it. No one suffers the slightest injustice. So there will be no reason for anyone to say there will be no injustice in the hereafter when rewards are being given. God gives fair rewards. In Surah 7 verse 137, God says, we let the oppressed people inherit the land east and west, and we blessed it. The blessed commands of your Lord were thus fulfilled for the children of Israel, to reward them for their steadfastness. And we annihilated the works of Pharaoh and his people and everything they harvested. So again, God is rewarding the children of Israel, for their steadfastness, and says that we annihilated the works of Pharaoh and his people and everything they harvested. In Surah 10 verse 4, God says, "To him is your ultimate return, all of you." This is God's truthful promise. He initiates the creation, then repeats it in order to reward those who believe and lead a righteous life equitably. As for those who disbelieve, they incur hellish drinks and a painful retribution for their disbelieving. So as you can see, all these verses are the reason why there is a belief among traditional Muslims in particular that you have to do a lot of righteous acts, and that will automatically get you reward. But we can learn from all these verses that the correct way of earning God's reward is primarily and first believing in God correctly. Without your foundation being correct, no matter what you do, how many righteous acts you do, it has no value. It is all nullified. And that is the reason why, if you look at many religions, it's all about doing certain acts, going here, doing this, cleaning that up, putting this up, but they are committing shirk. So what's the point of all this? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. You see so many religious groups doing all these acts, but sad news is, in the Quran very clearly it says that those works are all nullified. And the reason for that is because they actively commit shirk. They have not understood what the religion is. They have set up partners besides God. They venerate individuals and saints and God knows all the other people, and therefore they nullify all their works. Whereas when you see in Surah 13 verse 18, God says, "Those who respond to their Lord deserve the good rewards." So what does responding to the Lord means? It means whatever message what God is giving us, we respond to the message with belief. We accept that message. And God is saying that such are the individuals who deserve good rewards. As for those who fail to respond to Him. So if you have failed to understand the message, if you have failed to accept the message, if they possess everything on earth, even twice as much, they would readily give it up as ransom. They have incurred the worst reckoning, and their final abode is hell. What a miserable destiny. So this verse clearly tells us that people who have not responded to God and His message, people who have chosen disbelief, even if they had everything, God says they will give it up for ransom. They will give it up for ransom. They have incurred the worst reckoning, and their final abode is hell. What a miserable destiny. So to conclude, what these verses are telling us is that we have the good news of receiving God's sawab or reward, as the Quran calls it, but these rewards are only reserved for people who truly believe in God. So no matter any amount of fasting they do, any amount of I did 10 umrahs, I did 15 umrahs, they boast about it also. And I did 500 hajj, and I sent all these people for hajj also. None of this matters when you have fundamentally not believed at all. So it is a very sad situation, and this is something that is applied to anyone. If our belief is not in the right place, we are not gaining anything. And this answers why a lot of people, despite what they do, they are experiencing a lot of problems in their lives. It's because of the lack of their proper belief. If their belief is not at the right place, obviously God's support will not be there. If you think that you can buy God, and that's what a lot of people think, that they can buy God, I can do this and then God will give me this. That probably may work with your boss, but it doesn't work with God. You can probably try and convince your boss to give you a raise by doing some special favors for it, but it doesn't work with God. It fundamentally comes down to your belief. So if you are giving charity assuming that I will get this, I will get, maybe next year I will get a double the salary, you are not going to get anything unless you're doing it out of compassion to another person. Because God says in many verses that I look at your innermost thoughts. So you may be giving every month 300, 400, 500, 600, 800, maybe 1000, but it makes no difference to God as long as it is not out of compassion. Because that's the whole purpose. The purpose of your religion is to transform you from within. If you're not a compassionate person, if you're not feeling sad or compassionate towards the poor person that you're giving, that means you've not understood the message. So you're doing it for some other reason, and obviously that will not protect you from anything. That will not give you forgiveness from God. When you show compassion to others, God shows compassion to you. So this is the basic understanding of all righteous deeds. When you are people go and serve their parents, but their intention is something else. Because I need that land. My father, I have to muska him nice so I get that land. You see, otherwise he'll give to my elder brother, or he'll give to my younger brother. So this is, but people looking from the outside, oh, he's running and going and taking care of his parents. But God knows exactly why you're doing it. So you can impress a lot of people, but God knows exactly why you're doing it. So do you think a person like that will get any reward? Nothing, zero. Because the whole intention behind that act is simply to gain something of worldly. It has nothing to do with God. It has nothing to do with compassion and appreciation towards your parents. If you have appreciation to your parents, then no, these people, they sacrifice so much things for me. They raised me. So even if they don't give me anything, I would still go and serve them. That, if you have that kind of mind behind it, intention behind it, obviously you'll be rewarded, and you'll be rewarded more. If he has a land, you'll probably make 10 lands more than that, because you deserve it. So that should be our intention, our niyyah, and that is the kind of deeds that God will reward. Okay, Masala.